iPhones, sleek, modern, and virtually everywhere. You've probably got one in your pocket, or at least have seen countless ads telling you how revolutionary the latest model is. You walk into an Apple store or open the Apple website, and there it is, the latest iPhone, staring at you with its shiny, flawless design and its promise of cutting-edge technology. Beneath the polished surface, there's a darker side to owning an iPhone, one that Apple doesn't exactly want you to think about while you're swiping through the smoothest interface in the world. It's easy to get caught up in the allure of a new iPhone. After all, Apple has perfected the art of making you feel like you need the latest and greatest. Stick with me for the next few minutes because I'm about to reveal some shocking truths that could change the way you look at your iPhone forever. And trust me, this is information you need, whether you're a die-hard Apple fan or just looking for the best tech deals. Don't miss out on the full picture. Hit that subscribe button because once you see what I've uncovered, you'll never look at your iPhone the same way again. 1. The hidden costs of the Apple ecosystem. Here's something that no one talks about when they're raving about the iPhone: the Apple ecosystem. Sure, it sounds great when you hear about how seamlessly all Apple products work together. Your iPhone syncs perfectly with your MacBook, your iPad, and even your Apple Watch. But have you ever thought about how much you end up spending to get that experience? It's not just about the iPhone. Once you're in the Apple world, you're almost expected to buy other products to make it all work. You've got the iPhone, the AirPods, the Apple Watch, the MacBook, and don't even get me started on all those accessories that Apple encourages you to buy. Things like charging cables, wireless chargers, and those incredibly overpriced adapters. Before you know it, the total price tag of your Apple setup is far higher than you ever imagined. It's like they're building a walled garden, and if you want to play in it, you need to buy everything that goes with it. Think about it. How much does Apple really need to charge for the phone itself when they're getting you to spend on all these extras? The hidden costs of the Apple ecosystem are one of the reasons why the company's profits remain sky high. But as consumers, we're the ones who end up footing the bill. 2. The planned obsolescence game. Now let's talk about something a bit more controversial: planned obsolescence. If you've ever felt like your iPhone is suddenly slower after a couple of years, you're not alone. Apple has faced accusations of deliberately slowing down older iPhones in an attempt to force customers to upgrade to newer models. Remember the Batterygate scandal? Apple admitted that they were slowing down older iPhones in order to avoid unexpected shutdowns as the battery aged. The problem? Apple didn't exactly tell users that this was happening. So one minute, you're happily using your phone, and the next minute, it feels like it's running on dial-up internet speed. Apple's response? They offered cheap battery replacements to fix the issue. But by then, the damage was done. People started questioning, why was my phone suddenly slower? Was it really just the battery, or was Apple secretly trying to push me toward buying the latest model? It's not just about performance. It's about making you feel like your device is obsolete and making you crave the newest version, even when the upgrades aren't always substantial. 3. The price tag that doesn't match the features. Let's be honest, iPhones are expensive, but what are you really paying for? Sure, the design is sleek, the camera is amazing, and the screen looks crisp, but when you break it down, you're not just paying for the most cutting-edge technology, you're paying for the brand. For the price of a new iPhone, you could easily buy a high-end laptop or even a budget-friendly car. But why? Because Apple has mastered the art of brand loyalty. They've built an empire around the idea that owning an iPhone isn't just about having a phone, it's about status. You're not just part of the Apple family, you're part of an exclusive club. Now, I'm not saying the iPhone is a bad phone. It's a fantastic device, but it's not the only option out there. You can find phones that do just as much or more for a fraction of the cost. But Apple has trained us to believe that if it's not an iPhone, it's just not worth it. And for some reason, we've bought into it. We're not just paying for technology, we're paying for the privilege of carrying around a logo. 4. The privacy concerns. Apple's reputation as a privacy-first company is a major selling point. They've built their brand on statements like, "What happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. They boast about not selling your data, respecting your privacy, and even standing up to governments to protect your information. But let's take a closer look at this shiny promise. First off, while Apple doesn't sell your data, that doesn't mean they're not collecting mountains of it. Every time you use your iPhone, it tracks your location, what apps you're using, how long you're using them, and even the topics you're searching for. Ever noticed how you look up a product or talk about something near your phone, and then, bam, you're served ads that feel eerily on point? That's not magic. That's data collection working overtime. Apple also promotes app tracking transparency, which allows you to block apps from tracking you. It's a great feature on paper, but in 2022, researchers discovered Apple was still collecting data from its own apps, like Maps in the App Store, even when users had turned tracking off. It's like telling someone you've locked the doors to protect them, but secretly leaving the back door wide open. Now let's talk about iCloud, Apple's cloud storage system. If you're using iCloud, your photos, documents, and personal data are stored on their servers. This means Apple has access to it. They claim they won't hand over your data unless required by law, but here's where things get tricky. In high-pressure situations, companies often have to comply with government demands. For instance, in countries like China, Apple has been criticized for storing iCloud data on servers controlled by local authorities, raising serious privacy concerns. And remember the infamous iCloud celebrity hacks back in 2014? Dozens of private photos from high-profile celebrities were leaked online. Apple insisted it wasn't a breach of their systems, but rather weak user passwords. Regardless, it exposed how vulnerable cloud storage can be. If high-profile figures with every reason to secure their data aren't safe, how secure is the average user's information? But it doesn't stop there. Even with all their privacy promises, Apple still benefits financially from tracking your behavior. For example, the App Store collects data on which apps you're browsing and downloading, helping Apple dominate the market with tailored app recommendations and strategies. So while Apple may not sell your data outright like some companies, they're definitely leveraging it to their advantage. And the truth is, once your data is out there, whether through iCloud, app usage, or location tracking, it's never entirely yours anymore. At the end of the day, the question remains, how much are you willing to trust a company that thrives on information to safeguard your most personal details? The pressure to upgrade. Every single year, like clockwork, Apple unveils a new iPhone. And somehow, no matter how amazing your current phone is, it starts to feel outdated the moment that shiny new model is announced. Suddenly, you're bombarded with ads, unboxing videos, and reviews telling you how incredible the new features are. It's almost like your current phone is whispering, "Hey, I'm not good enough anymore." But here's the reality. iPhones don't change that much year to year. Sure, they throw in a better camera, maybe a slightly faster processor, or a new color to tempt you. But is that really enough to justify spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars on a new device? For most people, the difference between last year's iPhone and the latest one is barely noticeable. So why do we feel this overwhelming urge to upgrade? It's simple. Apple is a master at making us believe we need to. They've carefully cultivated this idea that if you don't have the newest iPhone, you're somehow falling behind. And it's not just about the features, it's about status. Let's be real, there's a certain pride that comes with pulling out the latest iPhone in a crowded room. It's not just a phone, it's a statement, and Apple knows this. They've perfected the art of planned obsolescence. Think about it. Every time a new model drops, older iPhones seem to mysteriously slow down, and software updates stop supporting certain features. Coincidence? Probably not. Even though your old phone is still perfectly functional, Apple has a way of making it feel like it's time to move on. Let's not forget the psychological tactics they use. The keynote events are a spectacle, the ads are sleek and aspirational, and influencers rave about why you need the latest model. It's like Apple doesn't just sell products, they sell FOMO, fear of missing out. They want you to believe that life will somehow be better, faster, and cooler with the latest iPhone in your pocket. But is it worth it? Is the slightly improved camera or the new titanium finish worth draining your bank account? Or worse, locking yourself into another payment plan? The truth is, most of us don't even use our phones to their full potential. How often are you really using all those high-tech features that Apple insists you can't live without? At the end of the day, the pressure to upgrade isn't about need, it's about want. Apple has mastered the art of creating desire, and they're not just selling you a phone, they're selling you a lifestyle. The real question is, will you keep buying into it, or will you realize that your perfectly functional old iPhone might still have plenty of life left in it? 6. The environmental impact. Let's not sugarcoat it. Apple is not exactly eco-friendly. Sure, they've made some strides in recent years, like using recycled materials and promising to reduce their carbon footprint. But when it comes to their phones, the truth is a bit darker. The constant cycle of upgrades and new releases is one of the biggest contributors to e-waste. Every time a new iPhone drops, millions of older models are discarded, even if they're still perfectly functional. Think about it. How many people do you know that have an old iPhone tucked away in a drawer somewhere? It's not just your old device, it's happening worldwide, and those phones don't just disappear. They end up rotting in landfills, releasing harmful chemicals into the environment. And let's talk about the materials Apple uses. Sure, they boast about using recycled aluminum and conflict-free minerals, but a large portion of the raw materials still comes from mining, a process that's anything but green. In fact, mining for precious metals and minerals used in phones is one of the most environmentally damaging industries in the world. The chemicals and toxins released during mining can pollute rivers, harm wildlife, and devastate entire ecosystems. So while Apple's marketing makes it seem like they're doing their part, the reality is that the materials in your shiny new iPhone came at a cost. It's easy to get lost in the excitement of a new release, but it's worth considering. How much is that upgrade really costing the planet? You might be getting the latest tech, but the environmental cost is still very high, and we all pay the price. So, why do we keep buying them? Despite all these dark truths, iPhones continue to dominate the market. Why? Because Apple is a master at making us believe we need them. They've created a brand so powerful that we're willing to overlook the hidden costs, the privacy concerns, and even the environmental impact. At the end of the day, it's about more than just the device. It's about belonging to an elite group, about having something that says you've made it. But just because everyone's buying into the hype doesn't mean you should. So, with all this in mind, is the iPhone really worth the hype? Or is it just another cleverly marketed device designed to keep you coming back for more? Think about it. Are you truly in control of your purchases, or has Apple just built the perfect system to keep you locked in? If you're questioning everything you've heard about iPhones and want to stay ahead of the curve on what's really happening in the tech world, don't miss out on the rest of the videos on this channel. Dive deeper into the world of tech, uncover hidden truths, and get insights that'll have you thinking twice before your next big purchase. Hit that subscribe button, because the real story is just getting started, and you won't want to miss what's coming next.